Is it too loud?
No.
If that light could just move a little that way, I'd be grateful. Thank you. So, I listened to this panel talk before me, and I heard one very important thing. The guy who gets angry at the guy who says too much. As an entrepreneur, we're passionate. All we know how to do is talk about our idea, sell it, sell it, sell it. My advice to you is know how to sell it in a few amount of words. All I can share, that's much better. All I can share with you is my experience. I've been an entrepreneur my entire life for one reason. I had one job and I got fired, and I recognized nobody would ever hire me again. And that might be due to my personality or a host of things, but it's irrelevant. I wanted to share with you, if you haven't done this, the definition of an entrepreneur. It was first defined in the year 1734 in France, with a very benign definition. In 1984, the final definition was done by a Harvard economics professor. It went something like this. A person or persons who wants to be in a business with a complete disregard for money. If my CFO ever heard me say that out loud, she would have my head. Because at the end of the day, an entrepreneur has to be many things. He has to have business acumen, he has to have vision, he has to be a cheerleader, he has to be a father, a brother, and most of all, a mentor to all the people that work for him or her. Everything starts with an idea, and the idea is most entrepreneurs can look at the same thing that I call the earthlings look at and see something totally different. And that's the birth of the idea. The execution of the idea is the entrepreneur's vision. I've been very fortunate in my life to have a lot of failure. Because of that failure, I know the ditches that are in front of me, I know the icebergs that are under the water, and I'm able to navigate them in a way just from past experience. Most entrepreneurs who start out young as entrepreneurs end up as entrepreneurs. And one thing they lack is fear. And my acronym for fear is forgetting everything's all right, because every entrepreneur will be faced every day with a set of circumstances, problems, whether there are conflicts in the office, whether there are cash problems, or business isn't going right, or it's not in the right time, and it's not going to plan. But what he or she has to be is nimble, has to be nimble and fearless. One of my greatest heroes is Albert Einstein, and sure, he invented relativity. That's all great. But he said really one important thing. He said, in difficult times, opportunities will present themselves. And I believe that's the core message for every entrepreneur, because we are certainly in a very unique time in our economy. Globally, not just in Europe, but certainly in the US as well. Things are not like what they used to be. The American dream is no longer the American dream. It's the American dream on steroids. It's the same thing in Europe. We're all waiting for the next great thing. If you think of the advent of the last 15 years, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Google, whether it's the plethora of amazing things that have helped us come together as a global society to encourage entrepreneurs to have the tools that they need to get to the marketplace in light year time, light speed time. It's actually incredible to think of. You know, so we're definitely in a new world, we're in a new economy. That's the end of it. There's a few things I just wanted to say, and now I'm going to ad-lib it. At the end, I'm going to take 5 minutes and ask anybody if they'd like to ask any questions. So I'm going to tell you only my experience from my story. My first job was at 19 years old. I worked for a company called Ken Mill Textiles in New York City. I had no idea what I was doing. I'd never had an accountant. I was a salesman. And in the middle of the second year of working for this company, I was doing my taxes in March. And my accountant said, you know, you're responsible for 80% of their entire revenue. And I said, yeah, I'm doing a good job. I'm working hard. I didn't have any vision, idea. And he said, you know, you should buy the company. And I turned to him very calmly and I said, how do you buy a company? And he walked me through the paces of making an offer to a gentleman who befriended me, the owner of the company, who happened to be a little older, and took me under his wing and taught me what I needed to know. And 3 months later, I owned that company. I was 21 and a half, 22, maybe just shy of my 22nd birthday. And I thought I had enough money for the rest of my life. At the age of 24, I was looking for a job again. Because what I thought then, I was very immature. I spent most of it right away on new ideas and plowed through the money as fast as humanly possible. I went on to start a succession of a few other businesses. They revolved around technology, but not technology like internet technology, because I don't want to tell you my age, but the internet didn't exist back then. There was something called Prodigy, but nobody used it. And I did what I knew how to do best. I worked in the apparel field. And I became a consultant for many companies. And through that tenure, I learned a lot about why things go wrong. And at the age of, let's say 40, 41, I decided all I wanted to do was start, build, and sell companies. That's where all of my knowledge came from, in the sense that I failed and succeeded so many times that I was able to predict what would work and what wouldn't work. I'm going to tell you the story of my current company, because this is a great story, and it has a lot to do with this forum today, with e-commerce, with the internet, with e-commerce sales, how to get there. The name of the company is Tommie Copper. Some of you may have heard of it, some of you may have not. It is less than 3 years old, and I'm going to tell you how we formed it. I like to do extreme athletics. In the year 2010, I was water skiing, and I won't give you the details of what happened, but a freak accident happened, and I lost every disc in my back, every disc in my neck, 2 hips, and 2 partial knee replacements. So when I woke up in the hospital and realized I was facing 6 operations, basically I was very depressed, and after the 3rd operation, I was living on pain medication. And let me tell you something, living on pain medication is not a way to live life. And I started looking into, by the way, I never graduated high school, but I'm an amazing reader. And I didn't graduate high school because I was stupid, I was just bored. And so I was reading about different technologies that might mitigate pain, how to implement them, and I came across copper. Copper is an amazing element. And through the aggregate knowledge of my past, I was able to put copper into a yarn, make some products, and put them on the parts of my body that had pain. Because my whole motivation was to get off pain pills. I used them. I put them on, they really worked. And convinced they were a placebo, I didn't care, because they worked. But what I did was, I had a few hundred made, and I put them on people that were in, let's call them baby boomers. They were getting older, they were in pain, and I wanted to see out of a group of 100 people what the response would be. I was overwhelmed that over 95% of the people that tried these products came back to me and had the same experience I did. I was still facing another 3 operations, and decided to start the idea of starting a business. And before I said, it all starts with an idea. You don't go from A to Z. You got to go B, C, D, E, F. It's a succession. So with the help of my goddaughter, who was assisting me, in the hospital, recoveries, rehabs, physical therapy, all the things I was going through, just she and I wrote up a business plan. And here's the fun part. I took the world at large, I took the internet community, I looked at the past 5 years of e-commerce growth by year by billions. And when I looked at that, I was in shock at the exponential, double exponential, triple exponential growth per year of billions of people who are shopping online. And then the magic part, how do you get them to look at you? because everybody's looking at the same platform. So we're talking about how do you make yourself unique? Why are you different? And even if you are, how do you tell people? So advertising became an important part of it. The world was getting smart enough that we all understand that when you see the first 5 titles on a Google engine or any engine, you know people are paying for those. And then it's just a question of who wants to outbid everybody else for key search words. And we decided to go the organic route. And what we did to make this work was we shot some really cheesy, and I mean really bad television commercials. But we put them on TV anyway. And I remember sitting, this business started at a second home of mine. Just me, my goddaughter, no air conditioning. I mean, we were working in bathing suits. It was the summer. And I remember the day we sold $100 worth of product. And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, I knew that very moment we were going to have a giant business. Because it didn't matter how many people bought that day. We found a way to get to people. And then it was just a question of extrapolating how we got to them and how to grow it. In my original business plan, I projected $1.7 million for the first year, which in my mind was a long drive, you know, like very lofty. I want to backtrack for 1 second. An entrepreneur is a very passionate person, but my advice to every entrepreneur in this audience today is to do one thing. Don't be scared to surround yourself with people who are much smarter than you. They got to be loyal. You have to protect yourself. But don't be scared to surround yourself with people smarter than you, because at the end of the day, if this business takes off, I can assure you of one thing. You don't know every part of it. You don't have the acumen for every part of it. And if you think you do, I'm here to tell you you don't, because it happened to me. So getting back to our track of the business. So we thought we would do $1.7 million our first year. I'm very happy to say we did $22.8 million our first year. That sounds great, doesn't it? I was so not prepared to do $22.8 million the first year that how do you grow something that starts that quick? So I'm trying to share with my fellow passionate entrepreneurs success, because you've got to be prepared for it. So the business plan that I'm going to lay out for you right now very quickly was, if I did 22.8 the first year, expecting to do 1.7 and look at the difference of that number, I could make a fair assumption what I was going to do the second year. We made a lot of money the first year, but if I was going to get to the third, fourth, fifth year, I had to build infrastructure. So I had to do the worst thing an entrepreneur could do, expect to lose money the second year in order to put the infrastructure in place to get to the third year. I can guarantee you 100%, had I not done that, you wouldn't have invited me here to speak today, because I would have been out of business. So we put together an A-list team. I hired the best of the best of the best. Salaries didn't matter, because now I knew I had a tiger by the tail, and all I was doing was holding on. In our second year, which was 2012, we did $38 million. And it was a very planned, incremental, we had the cash to do it. I want to again backtrack one little thing I forgot to tell you. In the first year, I put together a board of directors. Very important for every entrepreneur to think about. A board of directors' job is to be like, if anybody watched, I guess you don't know Star Trek, you're too young. Okay. A board of directors' job is to watch what you do. Not to run your business, but to report to them what you're doing 4 times a year on the telephone. Make sure each one of them has one has a financial background, one has a legal background, one has an advertising background, one's a business owner, one's an actor. Every board member, when they come into your company, in your head, you should say, what could they do for me over the course of this business? What network could they bring to me? So it's very important to put a board of directors together. So again, getting back to the second year, we did 38, just shy of $38 million. with the plan that we were going to lose about $3 million. But it was all planned to get to the year we're in right now. Tracking where we are right now, this year, we are at the low going to do 62, but we budgeted ourselves to do 62. But in mid-year, end of second quarter, should we be ahead of schedule, which we are right now, we have planned to have the capital to do up to 75. And that's my handicap. I think we'll do around 72. So we're talking about just a wildly successful business in an industry that is consolidated so much that they're leaving no room for anybody else. The apparel business is consolidated. Picture a rubber band, ball of rubber band. There's no air left. There's no room for anybody to come in. The last relevant brand was a company called Lululemon, which has already been acquired. And earlier I heard some of the panel say, because, remember, the VCs, the financial people, they're your friends, but they have and I'm sorry if I'm just going to tell you the truth, they have an agenda. Their agenda is to build your company up, own as much of it as they can, and sell it as fast as they can. You as an entrepreneur have another agenda to decide when and how that happens. And you do that by the leverage of dilution. You issue X amount of shares, you raise your capital. There's two schools of thought to do that. The standard that most do is get the money while you can. Only because I have a couple of years under my belt, I chose not to do that. My first capital raise was, we issued 10 million shares, they were at $1. But based on its success, I was able to continue raising money as I needed it, but at higher rates. It's great to go back to your investors after you've diluted them and tell them they're worth more money. That's a great thing for an entrepreneur to say. And the reason I'm leaving the 5 minutes at the end is I'm sure I'm begging some questions from both sides of the fence right now. So that's what we did. So we had our raises at these are how we did it. We started at $1 based on our success.